So welcome back to the session again. I was talking about classification of chemical sensing mechanisms based on classification of chemical senses based on chemical sensing mechanism. I mean, like, what are the different mechanisms which can be considered to classify the sensors? So I was talking about two different techniques. One is like whenever you are the phenomena which is being used for sensing, phenomena which is being used for sensing, that is one. Which phenomena? Like you have got one material, and whenever that material is going to be exposed to the gas and the light, what is going to happen? What kind of interaction is going to happen? That is which will be responsible for having the variation in the output. So it could be either swelling, like sometimes what happens whenever your material get exposed to any gas analyte, the material gets swell. This is a physical change in the material. Material gets swell, right? So whenever you have this kind of modification in material, that kind of sensor is very difficult. I mean, it will have very poor recovery because once it is swell, it will take hell of time to regain the original property. So that could be one mechanism. Other could be like other could be like, for example, your gas has either reducing or oxidizing. So whenever you are saying it reducing or oxidizing gas, whenever it is going to have interaction with the material, either is going to donate electron and is going to withdraw the electron from the material. As a result of that, material resistance can either increase or decrease. So electron exchange is going to be another phenomenon. I was not mechanism, but phenomena I was talking about. So depending on this phenomena, we can classify your sensor. What is happening at the input? Similarly, what is happening at the output? In what way the output is being measured? In what way output? What we are measuring the output? Like either in terms of resistance, in terms of conductivity, in terms of current, in terms of voltage, or whatever. Depending on that, there could be different mechanism, different classification. I mean to say. Moreover, there are two different major groups. So sensor can be classified in terms of mechanism, and it can be in terms of like the complexity of the sensor. So accordingly, there are two different kind of sensor, mainly category of sensor. One is called a direct sensor, which is called a simple sensor. Another is called indirect sensor, which is also called as complex sensor. So direct and indirect, direct or simple, indirect or complex. So let me tell you what is going to what is going to happen whenever we are having the say. I mean, in direct sensor, like how is the the feature of direct sensor? What is happening in direct sensor? How the signal conversion is being taking place in direct sensor, and then we will compare that with the complex sensor as well. Moreover, there would be like whatever chemical species I was talking about. It can be either chemically reactive device or it can be physically reactive device. Okay, so devices can be chemical reactive or it can be physical reactive. So depending on that, you can classify the sensors. So this is the diagram in which we have mentioned you can direct operation and complex operation. There are two different possibilities, direct and complex, and other one is chemically reactive or physical reactive. So that physically and chemical reactive, I have given you example. Chemical reactive means there could be like the gas, the desired gas analyte can be either that chemical species can be either reducing or it can be oxidizing, right? So it means that there will be exchange of electron. This is what you call as chemically reactive uh, phenomena. Physically reactive phenomena means, as I mentioned earlier, like whenever their chemical species interacted with the gas analyte, there will be changes in the physical properties. Like the swelling of the material is one of the example. right? So it can be chemical reactive or physical reactive. And as far as and then and other possibilities can be direct operation or indirect operation. Okay. Now in direct sensors, direct chemical sensor, a direct chemical sensor utilize any of a variety of chemical reaction phenomena that directly affect a measurable electrical characteristic such as resistance, potential, current, or capacity. What does it mean? It means that in direct chemical sensor, you don't need a transducer in between. You don't need a transducer in between. It means, because you see, sensor means what? Whatever input parameters are there, that those parameters need to be converted into electrical signal. This is what you call a sensor. So whatever interaction you are going to have, interaction of chemical species with the material, those interactions would be responsible, only those interactions would be responsible for having electrical output. You don't need anything else, right? This is what it is happening in direct chemical sensor. Whereas in complex sensor, whatever changes you will be having, changes in the material, those changes need to be again converted into electrical signal by another transducer. So in complex sensor, essentially there are two different transducers. So this is also transducer. I'm not saying there is no transducing mechanism, because what, let us say you are you are varying input concentration of gas and light, and that is being converted to electrical signal. So this is conversion of energy from one format to another, conversion of the signal from one form to another. So it is sensor. This is transducer, right? But in complex sensor, in direct sensor, there is single transducing mechanism or transducing phenomena. Whereas in case of complex sensor, there would be two. There would be two, right? Now, for example, they have mentioned two different examples: chemically active direct devices. What are those? Example: metal oxide sensor. They are in metal oxide reducible gases increase or decrease metal oxide conductivity, because if it is reducible, it will increase the metal oxide conductivity, and if it is like oxidizing gas, it will decrease the metal oxide conductivity, and that will produces measurable drop in resistance when the hydrocarbons are present. It means like if increase in resistivity, I mean conductivity, it means the resistance is going to be decreases. So this is what it is happening in case of metal oxide sensor, which is called as the chemically active direct devices. We have got physically active direct devices like elastomer chemiresistor. What is elastomer? What is happening here? Absorbed species mechanical swell the conductor dope polymer material. So what is happening here? Because of the absorbed species on the material, it will be responsible for swelling the material, and which will, because of swelling, again there would be change of resistance. So this is example of physically active direct devices. So here we don't, because whatever changes we are having in the input, those changes are being converted straightway in electrical. So that is why it is called as direct devices, okay, or simple sensor. Okay. As far as complex sensor is concerned, this is example of complex sensor. As far as complex devices are concerned, it employs chemistry influenced phenomena that do not directly affect electrical characteristics and will require some form of transducing to obtain electrical signal in order to interface with the common measurement electronics. What does it mean? It means that whatever happening here, whatever interaction happening at the input, this interaction is not going to be responsible for having electrical signal at all. So there would be change, there would be some change, right? But we need another transducer which will be responsible for converting the changes into electrical. So this is what it is happening in complex devices. Examples: physical, again I'm quoting two different examples: physically active complex devices and physically active. This is physical active simple devices rather. Sorry, physical active complex, because both, because we are talking about complex sensor. So this is physically active and this is chemically active. Okay, what are the examples of, what is the example of physically active complex device? Fiber optic sensor. It is fiber optic sensor. In case of fiber optic sensor, I hope you must have studied fiber optic sensor in chapter 3 or chapter 4 of fundamental of sensors in other paper. What is happening in fiber optic sensor? In basic, what is the basic principle of fiber optic? You have got core and clad, right? In fiber optics, you have got core and clad. Whenever you are launching light in core, as long as you are having total internal reflection, the intensity is not going to be modulated. Intensity is going to be same, right? Like whatever intensity or power, whatever power or whatever intensity you have at the input, you are going to have the same intensity at the output, as long as there is total internal reflection, because your light is going to be totally internally reflected within the core itself. We know in case of optical fiber, core and cladding has different refractive indexes. Refractive index of core is higher than the refractive index of cladding, and that is one of the parameter of total internal reflection. There are many parameters. Critical angle is another, but the refractive indices of two material is going to be going to play very important role. So the Ri of core should be more than Ri of cladding, and that is one of the, as I mentioned earlier, one of the condition for total internal reflection. Now, in what happens in fiber optic gas sensor, so this cladding is going to be removed, and because let us say it is plastic cladded material, optical fiber. Plastic cladded means your core is going to be glass and the cladding is going to be of plastic. Usually plastic cladded fiber optics is optical fibers are being used for fiber optic sensor, because the reason for that is your cladding can be easily removed. Because what happens, सेंसर हम कब कह सकते हैं, because if you are having the modulation in the output, fiber optic chemical sensor, to whom we can call, if the 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 chemical species variation, the chemical species responsible for modulating one of the output parameter. It could be either intensity or it could be either power. But as long as core is intact, as long as core of the optical fiber is intact, there won't be any modulation in the output parameters. So what you need to do, you need to remove the cladding, and you can replace that cladding that much portion. Let us say this is the entire optical fiber. So at this much portion, for example, you have removed this cladding, right? And you have coated one different material, maybe organic conductive polymer or anything. Okay, so whenever you are exposing light, whenever you're exposing this to the chemical species, what will happen? Whenever you are varying this concentration, the refractive index of this cladding, जहां पर हमने cladding निकालकर जो material ड्रॉप किया, वो material का refractive index would be directly proportional to the concentration of gas. जैसे जैसे concentration बढ़ेगा कम होगा, accordingly there would be variation in the refractive index. Once you have the modulation in the refractive index, there would be modulation in the output. Optical fiber वही होता है कि क्या होगा कि you won't be having total internal reflection, you will be losing total internal reflection, and as a result of that, there will be modulation in the output. So what is happening here? This gas and the light is not directly converting signal, because there will be deviation optical signal inside the optical fiber. There will be deviation in optical signal inside the optical fiber, because total internal there will be deviation in total internal reflection. We call it as ATR, attenuated total internal reflection, right? It means optical signal got modulated, but but that is not in electrical form. So the interaction of the input interface causes the modulation in the intensity, or modulation in the total internal reflection. But that modulation is, it means like you have converted, You have converted variation input parameter into the variation in the optical parameters, but that is not in electrical form. So at the end you need to have a detector. Optical fiber में क्या होता है कि you need to have a detector. What detector is going to do? Detector will convert optical signal into electrical signal. So that is the another transducing I was referring. Okay. So this is what it is happening in case of the physically active. We call it a physically active complex device. Chemical active is the pellister. Gas species reacted with the device produces heat. Pellister में क्या होता है? Whenever gas species are going to be reacted with the device, that produces heat. So there will be variation in the temperature, and then that variation in the temperature is going to be converted into variation in the electrical signal. So again, there is a two transducing mechanism. So first transducing is like conversion of gas and the light. I mean, various concentration variation in the gas and the light being converted into variation in the temperature. And that variation in the temperature will be converted into variation in electrical signal output. So these are two different examples of complex devices. I hope you must have understood the complex devices. Now, as far as the sensor modality is concerned, so I told you in the like just now we have discussed the classification of sensor based on the sensing mechanism. I mean, like sensing phenomena happening at the input and the what way we are measuring the output. Right, depending on that, we can have either direct sensor or complex sensor, and we have quoted some example as well. Now, as far as the sensor modality is concerned, sensor type is concerned, these are very common terminology which are being used in case of sensor, like chemiresistive, ChemFET, amperemetric, thermistor, pellister, up to piezoelectric, right? Out of these many, these three are widely used across the globe: chemiresistive, ChemFET, and amperemetric. And we are also working on these two different chemical, the sensor modalities in our research laboratory. Chemiresistive means what? Depending on, I also told you in the last two lectures that this input chemical species, variation in the input chemical species will be responsible for modulating resistance of a device. That is why it's called as chemiresistive. ChemFET, we call ChemFET means chemically sensitive field effect transistor. So variation in the input parameter, input gas and light, concentration of gas and light, will be responsible for modulating drain to source current. Responsible for modulating drain to source current. That is what we call as ChemFET. And amperemetric means the variation in the input parameters will be responsible for measuring the surface current. Okay, so that is what we call as amperemetric. So usually, as far as gas sensor is concerned, chemiresistive and ChemFET are two different modalities which are being widely used. Okay, and we are also working on that. And as far as heavy metal ion sensing is concerned, amperemetric is being widely used. Okay, and we are also working on that. So I thought, let me tell you different sensor modalities. Now, what are dominant hurdles in sensor research? I told you earlier also. Sensitivity and selectivity and cross sensitivity. These are the two main dominant hurdles. I told you earlier also, right? Selectivity, because unfortunately, in spite of having huge research, the selectivity issues has remained unresolved issues. I told you in earlier lecture as well that what essentially research scholars are doing. Research scholars are developing material, testing with different gas analyte, and if they could somehow manage to get, let us say, 90% response to one particular material and less than 10% response to other material, that material is being, since this 10% or less than 10 is almost negligible as compared to 90%, we are, most of the researchers are claiming that that material is selective material. But truly speaking, we need a material which will be selectively changing, I mean, responding to only one gas analyte. We are looking forward to that kind of data. Similarly, cross sensitivity. Cross sensitivity means like if you are exposing your material to, let us say, CO2 or CO or NO2, only one gas analyte, of course you can have a particular shape and you can have the particular changes. But if you are exposing to a mixture of gas analyte, how you are going to identify which gas analyte? I mean, if you are having the response, so how you are going to recognize that your sensor is only recognizing CO2 or CO, like whatever response you are getting, a response CO का है या NO2 का है या CO2 का, ये कैसे जानेंगे आप? It is very difficult. For that purpose, you need, intelligent materials, and you need to make use of those material with very, very intelligent, right? So whenever the cross sensitivity issue is concerned, as far as cross sensitivity issue is concerned, truly speaking, that issue can be handled at instrument level. At material level, sometimes it is very, very challenging. At instrument level, you can train your, let us say you want to develop handheld sensing gadget. So handheld sensing gadget can be trained. So like during testing, you can see what kind of responses, what is the shape of the curve you are getting for two different, let's say your material is having showing affinity to two different gases like CO2 and NO2, for example, right? So you can see like what is the nature of CO2, what is nature of NO2, okay, and how much change of resistance you are getting for two different analytes. Accordingly, you can train your electronics, and whenever you are having that kind of shape, whenever you are having that much change, you can show that it is NO2 or CO2 or something of that sort. But it's not like selectivity and cross sensitivity only. The other parameters are also equally important, like sensitivity, like the response recovery time, load detection limit, stability. All those parameters are also equally important. That is why I said there is a huge scope for research scholar to do the innovative research in sensor. Now, so I thought like I should give you what is happening in sensor research. That is why I have added this couple of slides in between. Now let us again discuss direct sensors. Direct chemical sensors that affect electrical characteristic of a sensing element can be separated into two categories by characteristics that they affect. It's not only two, it can be more than two also, right? As far as direct sensors are concerned, like conductometry devices that affect the resistance or impedance of sensing element. What is, I mean, in case of conductometry devices, that will, in conductometry devices, you are going to either detect the variation in resistance or variation in impedance. Amperometric devices affect the measurable electrical or electronic current passing through the sensing element. So whenever you are talking about amperometric devices, you will be relying on what kind of electrical or electronics current, what kind of modulation you will be having in electrical signal or electrical current passing through the sensing element. And third one is potentiometric devices, which affect the electrical potential and voltage across some pair of electrodes. Of course, either pair of electrodes or planar electrode. So here there are three different, the type of sensor as far as direct sensors are concerned. We have referred conductometric, amperometric, and potentiometric. Sometimes, but they have mentioned two. The reason for that is this potentiometric and amperometric is being considered as a single entity. So there are two conductometric, amperometric, and potentiometric is being considered as a single entity, but I will refer it as a three classes: conductometry, amperometric, and potentiometry. Sometimes these are called as electrochemical sensor. We will discuss those in detail in due course of time. Though circuitry, these characteristics can be readily converted from one characteristic to another to simplify the interfacing. So, I mean, not though, through circuitry. So what does it mean? It means like once you have that kind of, like whenever your material detect the variation in input parameter, then you need some additional circuitry so that that signal can be converted into a measurable signal, because it's not only electrical signal, that signal should be a measurable signal as well. So there are wide variety of chemical sensing phenomena that employ direct sensing. There are many. I will discuss some of them. Metal oxide chemical sensor is one of those. In metal oxide gas sensors such as tin oxide or SNO2 have been popular since late 1960s. Truly speaking, very recently, not recently, like some 1 or 2 decades ago, maybe around 1 decade ago, nanostructured materials came into the picture. Otherwise, earlier the metal oxide sensors were very popular sensor. Even today also, many metal oxide sensors are very people are using metal oxide sensor uh, because of some reason. One of the reason is they are very stable and very rigid. They can work under any adverse environment. And then, but the problem is, in as far as metal oxide sensors are concerned, metal oxide sensor requires high temperature operation. That is one of the problem. That is one of the problem of metal oxide sensor. But what is happening there? They are simple rugged devices that perform response reasonably well with relatively simple electronic support, as I mentioned earlier. Bulk metal oxide have electrical properties that change in the presence of reducible gases such as methyl ethyl alcohol. This is one of the example of reducible gases. You can have either reducible gases or oxidizing gases. So metal, what does it mean? It means that whenever you are taking bulk metal oxide, it will have a very specific electrical properties which can be altered whenever it is having interaction with either reducible or oxidizing gases. When metal oxide crystals such as SNO2 is heated at certain high temperature in air, oxygen is going to be absorbed on crystal surface, and a surface potential is formed that inhibits the electron flow. Now, why metal oxide sensors are not working at low temperature? The reason for that is they don't have, this oxygen ion. I mean, the this phenomena this phenomena. What is happen when the metal oxide crystal such as SNO2 is heated at certain temperature in air? Oxygen is going to be absorbed on the crystal surface, and the surface potential is formed that inhibits the electron flow. So, because of absorbed oxygen, the surface potential is going to be formed on the surface of the material, which is not going to be possible at low temperature, which is not going to be possible at low temperature, and therefore there is no flow of current. There is no, response at low temperature. When the surface is exposed to, like once we have this kind of at higher temperature, at elevated temperature, whenever we have this kind of formation takes place, right? To I mean, surface potential formation due to the absorb of oxygen on the surface level because of the high temperature, that will be responsible for flow of current. Whenever this is happening, then when this kind of surface is exposed to reducible gases, it always donates the electron, and as a result of that, the surface potential decreases and conductivity increases. Potential decreases, conductivity increases. And if you have oxidizing gases, surface potential will increase and conductivity will be decreased. Okay. So whether it is oxidizing gas or reducing gas, it doesn't make any difference. Either it is going to increase the surface conductivity or decrease the surface conductivity. But it is possible only at elevated temperature, because it is not possible at room temperature. And that is why metal oxide sensors are, and this is the equation by which you can have the response. Sensor electrical resistance RS can be which is equal to A into C to the power minus alpha. What is A? A is the constant specific for a given film composition. C is the gas concentration, and alpha is the characteristic slope of the RS curve for material and expected gas. And like alpha is the slope of that calibration curve. It means the sensor response, electrical resistance rather, sensor electric resistance can be calculated rather by using this kind of equation. This is what it is happening in metal oxide sensor. But only metal oxide is not going to serve the purpose. We need some, as I mentioned earlier, we need some electronic circuitry as well. This is one of the examples. So what is happening here? That there could be different electronic circuits. Here, this is comparator, and this is a simple Weston bridge. You can see here, this is a standard thermistor. At particular temperature, it will have a particular resistance. These are fixed resistances. Okay, of course, this variable resistance we can keep fixed. Only one particular wing out of these four elements is going to be resistance of this is going to be modulated. This is SNO2. Whenever this is exposed to gas analyte, the resistance or conductivity of this device is going to be modulated. As a result of that, you can see this particular point is connected to the non-inverted terminal and this point is connected to inverted terminal. There will be imbalance. Initially, we are going to have this Weston bridge in such a way that there would be balance in the input. So there would be a one particular level of output. Whenever there would be imbalance, output is going to be changes, and as a result of that, of course, as far as comparator is concerned, output can be either positive saturation or negative saturation. I mean, either it can be plus VCC or minus VCC, equal to minus VCC, whatever, depending on what kind of power we are giving, 10 plus or minus 10 volt plus or minus 10 volt or something of that. That will be like, if it is 0, this is NPN transistor. If it is 0, this transistor will be cut off. Will be cut off, and there will be high, voltage at collector. And if it is maximum, right? So this will be saturation, and there will be very less voltage at the collector. So depending on that, either this collector will have less voltage and maximum. So what does it mean? It means that whenever we are imbalancing this, whenever there will be imbalance in the circuit, that can be easily detected at the output. So this is one of the typical example of metal oxide sensor, along with associated the electrical circuitry, which will be responsible for converting measurable electrical signal. Because you need to amplify that, you need to have a measurable electrical signal, so that you will be able to, amplification has not been shown here, but the value of that is going to be significant, because we have arranged here the circuitry in such a way that the output is going to be definitely significant. So this is one of the wonderful example of metal oxide sensor, with that of by using associated electronic circuitry. Now I'm going to stop here today, because next is going to be enhanced catalytic gas sensor that we will discuss tomorrow. I'm going to stop here, and then